Okay, let's try example 2 and some practice exercises. So here we are with example 2. This is rewrite before finding square roots. So sometimes we're not going to have it look nice and easy for us, and we've got to do some solving. Now we should feel pretty comfortable with this. Consider the x squared right there to be a variable. And think about, let's say if that was a variable, how would you get it by itself? Okay, so here's what we're going to do first. We can't have that negative 100 there. We're going to add 100 to each side. And think about what that becomes. When you add 100 here, it cancels out. So add 100 here, cancels out. Add 100 here, and it makes it 100 on this side. So what we're left with is 4x squared equals 100. But, as before, we can't have that 4 there, so we're going to divide by 4 and divide by 4. And what we're left with is x squared equals 25. Now this seems pretty easy. Where people sometimes mess up is they forget the second answer here. So the answer is going to be a plus minus something. It's going to be plus minus whatever the square root of 25 is. Now you don't always have to do this step, but I'm just sticking that in there. It's going to be plus or minus 5, meaning that it could be positive 5 and it could be negative 5. That would fit right here, back up in this x right there. So we know, and we're going to check this here, 5 squared equals 25, and also negative 5 squared, negative 5 times itself is 25. So the solutions we have for this one are 5, and we also have negative 5. And now let's move it down to try some of the checkpoints. And here are some of the checkpoints. Now, one thing I'd just like you to watch here is that sometimes you can get no real solution. That's a lot of times when there maybe the answer we're trying to do the square root of a negative. But here in example 1, yeah, we can definitely get an answer here. Think about what number times itself is going to equal 13. Unfortunately, we don't really have anything perfect. So here's how we write this. We write x is square root of 13. But we don't want to forget that this could be positive or it could be negative. So we have two answers there. X is plus or minus square root of 13. Look at number 2. This is going to be an easy one because it's a perfect square. So when we do the square root of 16, what a lot of people like to do is stick that symbol right there, just to remind them. But think about what number times itself is going to equal 16. Well, most people think it's going to be 4. Don't forget that it could be negative 4. So we have to put this there as well, saying that we have two answers, plus 4 and minus 4. Number 3. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of solving here because we want this x squared by itself. So think about what you have to do. You got to add 169 to cancel those out. So let's add 169 over here. And it comes to 169 on the right side, and all that's left on the left side is this, and that's kind of nice because now we're saying what number times itself is 169. So x equals whatever the square root of 169 is. Think about that one for a little while, but you can put that in a calculator, but it's going to come to 13. But don't forget that it's plus or minus 13 on that one. And then finally, let's try this one, number 4. Well, you got to get rid of the 54 by subtracting 54 here, subtracting 54 here. And here's what we're left with. Negative 6x squared is negative 54. Now what we're going to do is get rid of that negative 6. We're going to divide by negative 6, and we're going to divide by negative 6. And look what you're left with, 1x squared, which is great. And negative 54 divided by negative 6 is a positive 9. So we can do this one. This is going to have a solution. What number times itself is negative or is positive 9? Well, that's plus or minus 3.